Alrighty, everybody. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Boy, do we have just a lovely throwback guest today. Let me tell you something. This man, I have known him for 12 years. That's scary. He and I started talking about boxing when we were cubs, little puppies. And now here we are, once more. This man is not only my best friend, but also an entrepreneur. He has managed fighters. He has set up cards. And you know what? He's also working for a damn good promotion. Luckily, he's giving us some time this evening. Hello, Britain.
Mr. Rick, my buddy, my best friend, my guy. We met when we
My
were barefaced,
man.
and now we have full beards. Grays is starting to come in, and the love for boxing is still there.
100%. 100%. So, let's get down to it, brother. Erickson Lubin thus far. I mean, we're in 11. Not looking good. You and I talked about this a little bit prior to. And our thoughts, at least my thoughts, were, well, what the hell is going to happen with this guy? Because the competition that he has faced has been good. But what did I say to you when we were talking about it?
Yeah,
Did
you
he
said
reach
that.
his ceiling already?
Yeah, you suggested that maybe he was a little bit shop worn, and what it's looking like right now is, man, this is so bizarre because usually he goes out on his shield.
Yeah.
And it seems to me in this bout he knows that he's beaten and he's just fighting to survive, which is in his previous defeats has not been the Erickson Lubin that we know. So it's bizarre to see.
It's bizarre to see him look so gassed. I mean, Steve Farhood's card just came up 97-93. I even feel like that's lenient because it hasn't felt very close in this fight. It's felt like he's just been bullied a lot.
Yeah, I mean, I was literally about to use the words lethargic when you said tired.
Huh.
He just told his corner that that he feels good. His corner's laughing with him and joking with him, saying if you look good, they pay good. I don't know if that's like a mental trick they're trying to get established. I mean, listen, he has all the tools
Oh, without
to
a
beat
doubt.
Ramos.
Yeah.
He's displayed it very, very few times in this fight, but the recipe is there for him to have done what he needed to do to make this a more interesting fight, and he just has not done it. So it shows to me that there's a mental lapse there. He doesn't trust something. He
Right.
doesn't trust his
Yes.
power. He doesn't trust his timing. He doesn't trust his speed. There's something in there that's obviously making him uncomfortable aside from Jesus Ramos.
That's what it feels like. Uncomfortable is a good word. My fear was just because we've seen him in big fights. When he met up with the towering Inferno, Sebastian Fundora, that's when Fundora was at his best. Um, that was a guy that nobody wanted to fight, and Lubin did it, so credit to him. Sadly, I thought it would be closer. Anything can happen in boxing. We still have a round and change left. There's 49 seconds left in the 11th round. However, I potentially view Erickson Lubin as the stepping stone guy.
Yeah.
Like, you know that he's really good and he still has the skills, but those losses that he had against Charlo and Fundura, those were devastating. We've said this a lot. There's some guys that just don't come back from shots like that. I wanted to
Yeah.
see him come back. I did. I gave him a good chance. Did I think he would win? Thought it was more 50-50. But unless he shows me something here and hurts Ramos and knocks him out, because that's what he needs in the last round, so he could go for broke here, I potentially view him as the stepping stone guy, the resume building guy. That's what I see in his near future. And it's sad to
Yeah.
say.
It really is, and like I said, I thought that this could have been the fight where he broke through
Mm,
because it's very clear and evident what Ramos was going to want to do, and that's pressure and that's come forward. You would think that someone with as many years of experience as a Erickson Lubin would know that when you're fighting someone who doesn't want to take a step back, that
hmm
you have to make them take a step back, and you don't stand in 50-50s with them and put your and compromise yourself. You rattle off combinations, you step around them, you make them keep turning into your shots, which backs them up. And when they back up, you step to them.
hmm
There's been several situations here where he's landed a good jab or he's landed a good combination. Ramos has backed up and he's taken steps back himself,
Right.
which gives Ramos the momentum that he needs to fight the style of fight that he wants to fight. And that's what lets me know he knows what he's supposed to do. He's just incapable of doing it for some reason. The last round is obviously going to be interesting, but I think you're right, Rick. Like if he doesn't spark this guy and get a knockout, he's going to become the stepping stone gatekeeper at
hmm
154 pounds to these young, hungry, talented fighters that are coming through the rankings.
Like what I would, if I were to make a, I'm sorry that my mic keeps going out, guys. This is a secondary mic, and TikTok is just weird. Um, if I were to make a comparison here, I would say that he is a, and I love him. We support him on this show, but like a J Rock, like
Mm.
that dude that is real quality, super technical. But when a guy beats him, it's like, oh, they beat a good boxer, even though his chin is a little suspect. They beat somebody that was really damn good when he was at his peak,
Hmm.
and now it's the let me see if I can really do something against an established technical fighter, but that's beatable. That's
Yeah,
what I see with Lubin in his near future. And again, I
yeah.
don't like saying this because I like Erickson Lubin. He's not even 30 yet. So could he turn it around? Sure. Will it mandate huge changes in his camp? Yes. And those are relationships that at that point you say it's not personal, it's just business. But there needs to be some sort of change because the one thing, and we've talked about this many times, the one thing that we hate in sports is guys not reaching their potential. And that's what I see with Erickson Lubin. I see a guy that has more to give. It's just not there.
Well, honestly, Rick, I don't even know if it's like I think to say that he needs to do something different with his corner or do something different with coaching or I don't know if that's what you're suggesting, but I think that that's a cop out because it's
Mm.
not like Coach Cunningham isn't telling him exactly what he needs to do, and
Mm-hmm.
it's not as if he hasn't done it. This is a mental lapse.
Mm-hmm.
This is like he's up against the ropes.
He's not even
He holds up
throwing.
the high guard. He's getting hurt. Logic tells you don't put yourself in that position anymore. And I know it's easier said than done. You're fighting someone who wants to steamroll you. So you got to stop them in their tracks. You got to make them respect you. He's not landed anything of note in the entire fight.
Right. Nothing.
You need to back this man up and you need to not let him be comfortable standing in front of you, marching you down. He's backed him up with a good jab or a good 1-2, and then he's backed up himself to create more space. So it's like you see glimpses of his boxing knowledge and understanding what to do. He is just there's a break in the focus to
Yes.
continue with the mission. There's an unwillingness here. So
Interestingly enough, as we hear the bell, he raises his hands in triumph and a huge smile on his face.
yeah,
So maybe there is something that we don't see or that we don't know. I'm
no, we
curious
know
to
what it
hear the
is. Rick. That's
scorecards, but obviously I didn't pick him to. I didn't think that he was going to win after that performance. And the other point is, what I hate hearing is the boo birds for a co-main because we just heard them from the crowd
mm. Well,
heavily,
that was a pretty good fight. I think that they're probably just anticipating a knockout, and they're just upset that Jesus Ramos couldn't get it done.
probably. What'd you make of Ramos? What do you think about his career arc?
I think. Listen, I'm not going to say that I'm not impressed. He does. He's a very simple boxer. He knows what he wants to do. He knows what he wants to get done, and he has a very menacing maniacal, consistent style of
Yeah.
doing the basic things that can break the toughest of fighters. So nothing flashy here, but can definitely be a fan favorite with his style.
Definitely. Definitely. 20-0, 16 knockouts. He did defeat a guy by the name of Brian Mendoza, who has
Mhm.
been, ever since his knockout of Fundora, a fight that he was losing as well, but one where it's lightning in a bottle. Want to see what he does with his next fights as well. But for Ramos, tons of potential, tons of potential. I mean, you just won handily against a guy that is just a super super professional, and you made him look super B-side. So I'm impressed. The scorecards are in. Jimmy Lennon Jr. fly as ever. Unanimous decision. So here we go. I'll say them out loud. 115, 113. 116, 112. 117, 111. Here we go. What is it? What? Well, if you could tell by our reactions, you might understand where this just went. Um. Oh my God. They all three gave it to Erickson Lubin.
Wow, interesting.
Steve Farhood on the unofficial gave Erickson Lubin, I believe, 4 rounds, if I'm not mistaken. I am stunned. Stunned.
Not the fight I saw. That's not the fight I saw.
And credit to the broadcast crew, who usually keeps it pretty light. They are ripping this decision. Ripping it. Crowds booing as Lubin is getting interviewed. Guys, this is a terrible decision.
That's
Terrible decision.
that's not the fight that I saw. And you asked me a couple of hours ago today who I thought was going to win this fight,
Yeah.
and what did I say?
What did you say?
I said this was the fight where Lubin was going to break through and have a big night. But this isn't how I thought it was going to look. This isn't what I expected.
117, 111? 117, 111? An atrocious decision. Lubin wins on all 3 cards. I will read these once more. Huge boos coming in. Deserved. 115, 113. 116, 112. 117, 111. In favor of Erickson Lubin. Guys, this is atrocious. Ramos says it's back to the drawing board, which is... He's more man than I am in this situation. I would be pissed. Jim Gray's asking him, did you take the rounds off in the later rounds? And his answer is maybe. I was trying to show different dimensions. It is what it is. I'll take the loss. And we'll come back. Man.
Yeah, that's tough. That's tough.
Oh,
That's tough. Yeah, that's not the fight that I saw, and I wanted Lubin to win. I mean, I don't listen. I think
oh, oh, brother. Oh, brother.
the. I mean, yeah, we're both stunned. But listen, I think that's Rick.
Oh, baby. What? What? Am I blind? What, like, I've been following this sport for a while. I've been commentating on the sport for a while. I think I know, like, some things. 117, 111. The Farhood card was 116, 112. Wow.
And it was unanimous.
And it was unanimous. Wow. Wow.
Yeah, shocking. And I just had somebody text me and say the fix is in. I don't know what the fix would be about. I don't necessarily believe in the fix aspect of this because Jesus Ramos was an undefeated, young, strong Mexican champion
Yeah.
who could have, and listen, like he's, can still do all the same things. His career's not over, but he could have represented the WBC and every other sanctioning body for that matter when um, Charlo drops those belts at 154 pounds very
Mm-hmm.
well. So I don't see what the fix would be about. I don't think that there's any fixing here. I think that the judges
Right.
all appreciated boxing probably more than they appreciate pressure fighting, and they were looking for certain things. Did you see Canelo's reaction was funny?
No.
He said, "What the hell?" Now that is hilarious.
I mean, is it?
Yeah.
Is it? I think it's embarrassing. They put out a poll, Showtime did, on Twitter. Who do you think won the fight? Ramos, 70%. Who's the other 30 that had Erickson Lubin? That's my question.
Who were the judges again?
Let me pull this up. I didn't write it down as they were reading it. It just, you know what it does? It puts me in a really bad mood when I see stuff like that. It just does.
Yeah.
It puts me in a bad, bad mood.
Yeah, they don't do boxing. They don't do boxing insiders like us any favors. They don't make our job any ease. They don't make it easy for us to defend the sport because my text messages are blowing up right now on my phone. Did you see this?
Yep.
I want to see the numbers. That's not the fight that I saw. The fix is in. This is BS. Like my phone is kind of blowing up about that fight right now. And what I'm trying to explain is I don't think that there's a fix.
Mm.
I don't see what the benefit to having Lubin win the fight would be for, the judges or PBC or Showtime or whoever
Right, right.
would be putting in the supposed fix. I think that what they didn't do a good job of diversifying the pool of judging,
Mm.
and the judges all are looking for one style to reward, and that was a boxing, fleet-footed, hit not get hit, fight off of the jab kind of style, and that's what they rewarded versus a pressure style that's coming forward and landing big punches. And even if you look at the numbers, I would have to imagine that Jesus Ramos landed more punches, but I think that all of those judges were looking for a thing. And when you're looking for a thing, as they say, 9 times out of 10, you find it.
All right, we got some comments here on YouTube. Let's see. Carlos A says, I had it Ramos 7-5. That's fine. Big Willie 54 said one of them had Lubin dominating. See, that's what we picked up on. Was one of them was 117, 111. How do you get that wide? How do you get that wide?
How do you get that wide
117,
for Lubin?
111. That's terrible.
Yeah.
Terrible.
Yeah, that's not good. That's not good.
At
And
all.
again, boxing again doesn't do itself any favors because this is what someone explained to me, and I had to be honest about it. This came off of the back of um, Haney Loma,
Huh?
and they said whenever a boxing match is not adjudicated the way that the layman or the common fan sees it,
Mm-hmm.
boxing insiders start mansplaining the sport. And,
Yeah,
and it's so true
it is
because
true.
it's so true. It's like there's a 10-9 must system. And when fights are close, it can go either way. And if it's 6-6, hypothetically, it could be 7-5.
Yep.
You start going
Yep.
into, the jargon and explaining the sport as where when two men fight, it kind of should just be easy for you to determine who won the fight,
Without question.
right?
Yes.
Like,
Yes.
sometimes it's not as deep as sometimes. And listen, sometimes it is because I'm a boxing insider. I love being a boxing insider. I'm one of those guys.
Yep.
And sometimes it is that deep. Sometimes it is more complicated.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes a 6-6 fight can be a 7-5 or an 8-4.
Yes.
But I
Yes.
think the fight that I saw tonight was. I think the fight that I saw tonight was an obvious win for Ramos, and I think
Without a
that
doubt.
and I think the only way to explain it is that all three judges wanted to see a boxer boxing and not a pressure fighting style tonight win, and that's what they rewarded.
But even if that is what they wanted, okay? Even if that is what they wanted, how could you not see that the pressure negated anything that Erickson Lubin did?
Yeah,
He
yeah. I mean,
didn't
listen,
do anything. Go ahead.
if you ask me, Lubin looked uncomfortable from the second round on when he was backing himself up into the ropes as early as the second round. He was backing himself up against the ropes. I think it was by the fourth or fifth round he started holding as opposed to catching and shooting.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't like he was rattling off combinations, stepping around. It looked like he was getting backed up. And I did say during the fight that I saw some instances where he would land a good one or two, maybe a 3-punch combination on Ramos and back him up. But I thought for him to be like the true aggressor, he would have needed to step to Ramos after those combinations. He would back up, which will allow Ramos to step right back to him and land something. So it's like in a tit for tat fight like that, I don't know. I think Ramos' style to me kind of showed that he was winning the fight, but
I agree.
3 judges in Vegas tonight saw it differently than what you and I saw.
They saw it a lot differently. I mean, I thought that Lubin maybe won 4 rounds. That was my peak for him. I thought he really got dominated here. To see him win, and again, those scorecards being wide is embarrassing. A few more comments on YouTube. Roderick Hayes says boxing is a joke. He says, I can see why people watch other sports. Another one said, smack it up, flip it up, rub it down. Oh, we have a Lubin stan. He says, Lubin won the fight. AJ says, I did everything right and they indicted me. Okay. And Tumac says, $100 bet. I'm not reading that. I'm not reading that. I should try to process these a little bit more. Let's see. Mimi says Tim Zoo is the man now. Nah, I don't know about that. Although we are looking forward to see what the fuck Tim Zoo does.
I'm gonna be honest
I'm
with you.
curious.
I'm becoming more of a Tim Zoo fan by the fight.
Really?
Yeah, man.
What changed?
I just think that he's becoming more cerebral. I think that he's becoming more set in his style. Listen, I love he's not in between styles. He knows who he is,
I agree with
right?
that.
And I think that there's something to be said about a fighter who's undefeated, who knows who he is in the ring, and he's going to do one thing and one thing only, right? Like
Yep.
when Deontay Wilder was at the peak of his powers, I remember he said a thing. He said, "You got it." He was talking to, I don't know if he was talking to some fighter. He said, "You got to be perfect for you got to be perfect for 12 rounds.
Mm.
I got to be perfect for one punch."
Mm-hmm.
Like he wasn't. I don't got to outbox you. I don't have to outlast you. I got to land one clean punch and you're done. I I love that. I love that. And so I just think that he's growing into himself. He knows exactly who he is and who he needs to be. And I think that his style he's really developing into his style. He's doing it really well.
I agree with that. Becoming more and more fan friendly. Knocked out Carlos Ocampo. That was a stay busy fight. Defeated Tony Harrison by TKO. I think we've seen the better days of Tony Harrison. More importantly, you're building against guys with established names. You are building up your resume. To see him develop over time is good. Also on the undercard here, a guy that he fought and actually knocked him down in the first round was Terrell Gaucher.
Mhm.
Gaucher won tonight in a 8-round majority decision. But I agree with you. For Tim Tszyu, really like how he's developed over the years. Curious to see how he fights against Brian Mendoza. Mendoza is at least from what we saw against Fendora, a dude that you cannot take lightly. Weedy Gonzalez on YouTube says Mendoza gonna win. I don't know. Obviously, we lean towards Tim Tszyu, but Mendoza has the knockout power, even if it is
Yeah.
a baby left hook against Fendora.
Listen, I think that that's going to be a fantastic fight, and I don't think
I agree.
enough people are talking about it. And that's the black eye to boxing right now, right? Like you got Mendoza, who obviously has the skill set to upset a Tim Tszyu. You have a Tim Tszyu with all of this fanfare and all of this heritage behind him, yet the common fan, the common person knows neither one of those guys for the most part, right? And they don't understand the deeper implications of what's going on in boxing and the weight class around it. So I mean, that has the potential to be a fantastic fight. I think those guys are going to meet in the center of the ring, and I think that
Yep.
somebody's will is going to have to get broken that night. Like that fight, 100% is ended by knockout. That's
Agreed.
exciting.
Agreed. That's taking place in October, October 14th. Is October tomorrow?
October is.
I think
tomorrow.
it is. What happened to this year, bro? This flew.
This year flew.
This year flew. So that's going to be taking place. I just had the date here. Let me pull it up one more time. October 14th. That's actually going to air, according to Sporting News, on Showtime. And look, we all know what Tim Tszyu wants. He wants the Charlos. He wants Mel, and I think a lot of people want Mel in the division.
Yeah,
It's just a matter of him coming back at some point. It is healthy for, I believe, him and also for fight fans to see him with his brother, because he has been away from the sport for a long minute now. We have heard the reports and have been given knowledge firsthand of him dealing with some mental health issues. I'm glad that he's getting that addressed. I think it's okay to be vulnerable.
Mm-hmm.
More importantly, he's there. He's supporting his brother.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't remember who I heard this from. It was one of the boxing podcasts. They were like, "Hey, when you heard that Canelo chose Maul, what was your reaction?" And a lot of folks were like, thought it was a typo. Thought that, I'm sorry, against Bill. Thought that we were getting the wrong one. Thought Canelo announced it wrong. Thought ESPN got it wrong. And yet here we are. What was your reaction when you heard?
My reaction when I found out that he chose Jermell,
Yep.
um, my first reaction was that this is what th- I hate to say it this way,
Go
but
for it.
I felt like it had to have been a backup plan. And I think a lot of people hypothesize this. I don't know if it's ever been confirmed,
Right.
but Jamal must have been offered this opportunity as a bounce back fight, which I thought was terrible. That was
Mm.
a terrible idea.
Hmm.
And in the absence of Jamal, given wasn't mentally prepared to step up and take such a dangerous fight and a big opportunity, Jermell, who's always hungry for big opportunities, who's always run towards the biggest challenges, was more than eager to salvage this date
Yep.
on Canelo's first fight with PBC. And it was interesting because just 2 weeks prior, Jamal was on live teasing a fight with Demetrius Andrade, and Jermell, I remember, was like sitting down somewhere in front of his home or something like that, saying, "I need to fight Canelo. I need to be the one fighting him. Undisputed versus undisputed. Wouldn't that be something?"
Hmm.
So I just think that it was always in the ether that this opportunity was going to present itself. And I think that Jermell was primed and ready for it. So my first reaction was, way to salvage the night.
Right. Right. For sure.
And listen, to
Yeah.
that point, I'm sorry, like I just
Go
have to
for
say
it.
this. I think that it's going to be a more electrifying night than people anticipate. I
I
think it's going to
agree.
be a better fight than people are anticipating. I think it's going to be a better fight than if Jamal were in the ring with him tonight. And I think that Jermell Charlo is going to win a lot of people over. And I think he's going to surprise a lot of people with his performance this evening.
I I said this previously, and I think I said this to you when we were talking earlier today. All I'm worried about is the weight. And I'm not trying to be a prisoner of the recent moment where I own it. I'll forever own it because it was my prediction. I thought Errol would win because of the jump. This is a bigger jump than what Terrence did. This is 14 pounds. I know Charlo packs a punch. I'm curious to see how his body adapts and,
Mhm.
more importantly, how he reacts when he gets hit by those shots. Because also, this is not like, hey, we're going to move up a little bit piece by piece and build. This is, we are going for the biggest fish in the sea, the generational talent. Arguably, many Mexicans would disagree, and when I've gone to Mexico, they have vehemently disagreed. But one of the greatest, if not the greatest Mexican fighter ever,
Mhm.
who is also a knockout artist. His last few fights, suspect, safe to say. But we do know one thing. After the Mayweather loss and sans Bivol, when he really made a push for a legacy fight and trying to prove a little bit more, and he bit off more than he could chew. I think he will get up for this fight, and I think he will knock out Jermell. I think it'll probably come a little bit later because you have to give Mel credit for being a damn good boxer, but he's never been in the ring with somebody like Canelo.
Yeah.
Ever.
Yeah.
Ever.
Yeah. All very good points. And listen, I think that if either of these men were out of camp, didn't have a camp, and they just met on the street, I think that it would still be an interesting fight. I think it would still be because of who they are, because of the attitudes that they bring to the fire and the electricity and the passion that they both bring to boxing. I think that any night these two men in particular fought, it was going to be an interesting fight. I think that this one is going to be interesting for however long it lasts. I agree with you. I think that there are too many things that count against Jermell Charlo in this instance.
Yes.
2 years of inactivity, coming off of a very serious hand injury that kept him out of the ring for half of that time. I think him fighting at two weight classes above what his comfort level, and having to carry that weight into later rounds against someone who is used to walking around fighting at this weight class, much bigger men, and also someone who has shown to have an iron chin in boxing, has fought as high as 175 pounds. And I definitely think that it's a tall task
Yep.
to ask of Jermell Charlo to beat this man, but I don't think it's a tall task to ask him to fight this man. And I think he's going to fight him. I think he's going to show that he has a lion's heart, as he's been, roaring about all of these years. I'm excited to see what it manifests into, but I do think that Canelo is just he's just
He's
the
generational.
more he's just
He's Hall of
generational. I
Fame
think he's
generational.
sharper. Yeah, and I don't think the stamina is going to be as much of an issue as it has been for him tonight.
One thing that he talked about was where he's training. It's very high elevation. One thing he said is he feels like he can go more than 12 rounds. I don't even think that's going to be a factor. And I've said this before as well. We have seen guys jump up in weight class. Like, some guys just deal with the weight really well. I saw a quote from Maul that said he walks around in this weight. He's comfortable with this weight. Half PR could also be a half truth as well, because he's trying to do the bidding for his brother. How I see it, we're going to find out in the first 4 rounds how he's going to adapt to not walking around but fighting, but competing with this many pounds on his body. What we've seen with Canelo when he hasn't looked good, he's been bullied. He's been pushed back into the ropes. He's had a stiff jab thrown in his face. He's had his offensive weapons be negated because the guy that is negating it is pushing him hard. I don't see that for Charlo in this fight. I see Charlo getting walked down like crazy. I see Charlo getting hurt late. Like I just don't see how he bullies this guy. He has the reach advantage. He has the height advantage. Canelo has fought these guys previously. He has fought pretty much anybody that you could ask for and demolished them. And
height and reach.
I think this is just another one.
Yeah, height and reach mean nothing to Canelo. That's not a factor for him. I think if you're gonna beat Canelo, you just have to be skill wise better than him. And so I think what it comes down to is Jermell Charlo skill wise better than Canelo Alvarez? I don't think that you can say that the answer is yes when faced with a similar opposition in Brian Castano, a short, stocky,
tough as hell fighter.
Tough fighter who hits hard, is going to walk you down and be in your chest all night. Jermell was hurt in their first fight. He was pushed back consistently, and he had a hard time keeping that man off of him. Oh. How are you going to keep Canelo off of you, who's slicker, has better head movement, who punches harder, who's heavier, who's been in there with, and I think punching power is relative too. Like, I do think that there are weight classes for a reason, but arguably he's been in the ring with bigger punchers than Jermell Charlo. Now, this is what I will say.
Maybe
Jermell Charlo and Canelo Alvarez have the same best punch. Hypothetically, you would think that Canelo does not want to be in a 50-50 with Canelo Alvarez. Meaning you don't want to hook with a hooker.
Yep.
But their left hook seems to be their mutual best punch. Jermell Charlo, in his revenge fight against Tony Harrison, engaged in a 50-50 hook for hook battle with Tony Harrison. His hook landed cleaner, faster, which started the beginning of the end for Tony Harrison. I do wonder, with Canelo's very wide hook, if they engage in a 50-50 and Canelo and Charlo's lands first, I do wonder if that's a recipe for disaster. And I do think that if Jermell Charlo is hurt, I think he's gonna throw that left hook, and we'll see where Canelo's chin is today.
What do you make?
That is the
Go
only
ahead.
caveat. That is the only caveat, is that they share the mutual favorite
True.
punch. It gets them both out of trouble. And if they engage in a 50-50, Jermell's is going to land first. And if it does, what happens then?
Have we ever seen Canelo have his best punch land on him? Like we saw in the Triple G fight, there was a plethora of punches that landed, but not his signature. Has that happened to Canelo Alvarez? Has he taken a thudding left hook?
I don't know if I've ever seen him take a thudding left hook, but
I
he
don't think I
did.
have.
Gennady Golovkin did land a
Overhand right.
very powerful overhand right
Yeah.
on
Good.
Canelo, and he smiled.
Yep.
That said,
Yep.
he was what, 5-6 years younger.
That was 2017, I want to say. So 6 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
6 years. He was 6 years younger.
Yep.
Yeah, interesting, man. Even their like their bodies right now. Canelo.
That's what I was gonna ask you. That's the one thing that really stands out to me. Is Canelo has been at this weight, looks super comfortable. Mel, not very cut. Not very cut. You could see with his torso. It's like it's there. It's obviously fine. Not cut in the slightest. A little flubby.
Yeah. Yeah, man.
So how do you think he's gonna adjust to the weight? Do you think these punches are gonna transition well at 68, or you think they're just gonna be slow?
No. I think he's been working. His whole thing in camp has been trying to maintain his speed. So he clearly is gonna try and fight fast. But the thing is, he's gonna have to exert more energy to
100%.
be as fast as he is at 154 pounds. And so while he might look good through 4 or 5, I think that he's going to hit a wall.
I agree.
He's going to be tired, and he's going to start to move more, which is going to make him even more tired because he's carrying around 12 more pounds than he's used to carrying in these scenarios.
Yep.
And I think that by 8-9, I think that he's going to have to sit still in 50-50 scenarios with Canelo. He's going to have to be in 50-50s. And I think that Canelo's just going to break him down.
Yep.
So I think it's going to look good for as long as it looks good. And then it's going to be very obvious when he hits that wall. And then I think that he's Canelo's for the taking.
Yep. And if he's stationary,
that's my read on the fight.
I agree with it for the most part. If he's stationary, curtains. Because then you're just going to see the blistering combinations. And also for Canelo, he has heard so much about how he has lost a step. We have seen the headlines of, have we seen the best Canelo? The John Ryder fight was meh. Last few opponents, meh. Lost to Dimitri Bivol, meh. This is not only a get-right fight, which makes it sound like a tune-up. It's not. This is I am beating a damn good technical fighter, although I have the upper hand by asking him to meet me for the biggest payday that he'll ever receive. He knows what he's doing.
Yeah. This is a generational fight. You got to test your skills. You've been calling this man out for years. The check is there. You got to take this fight.
Of course. All right, y'all, we're starting. Here we go. Round one begins. Both men wearing black trunks. Canelo wearing, it looks like, yep, those are purple boots. We don't even have to call them boots anymore, by the way. We could just, we could, I know it's like old school. You also call like soccer boots, but we don't have to call them boots anymore. The purple are fly, though. I don't know. Like basketball, they're basketball shoes. They're, I don't know. The chat could come up with something. What do you think Canelo is looking for in the opening round?
I think he's just looking to find range.
Which is what Charlo should probably do.
Yeah, I mean, both fighters have to do it, right?
Yep.
Canelo has to figure out a way to get in and pass the jab, which he knows, which is Jermell's strategy, and Jermell has to find a way to keep Canelo at a range where he can hit him and not get hit.
Yep. Yep. Um, we're about a minute in right now. Neither guy has really thrown much at all, by the way. Neither of them has thrown much. We can hear your phone on stream.
Angle it up.
Try to turn your phone down.
To the left. There you go.
It's not much yet. About 2 minutes in. Canelo and Charlo. Though Canelo is backing up Charlo now. Backing him up, but then allowing him to get out. He's just stalking his prey. And one of the things that you mentioned prior to starting was the movement of Charlo and how it might tire him in the later rounds by carrying so much more weight to a fight. He's moving like crazy in this opening round. Like crazy.
Burning a lot of energy doing so.
Yes. I mean, he is on his horse to stay away from these power shots. I really like the head movement of Canelo.
Yeah,
I really like the bounciness of Canelo.
He's showing you what his strategy is. He wants to rough Jermell up. He wants to make it a rough night.
Yep.
Every time Jermell backs up against that rope, he's hitting that jab arm with a heavy overhand right, which is gonna eventually make him bring those hands down. The thing he needs to worry about in that scenario is eventually Jermell's going to look to catch and shoot. He's going to look to catch that overhand right on the arm and bring his big left hook.
Yep.
And that's the punch that he puts people lights out with. So let's see if Canelo has a plan and strategy for that. But it looks like he's using the old Callum Smith strategy. Where it's like going to break you down by beating you down and taking away one of your best weapons, which is his left hand.
Weedy Gonzalez comments saying, man, Charlo looks big as fuck, but not in a good way. That's what we were saying. Although, you know what? Beauty is in the eye of the beholder. And it doesn't necessarily mean that he is ineffective. We haven't seen him try to unload any shots yet on Canelo. So we'll wait and see. The reach advantage is what stands out to both of us. 73 inches for Charlo, 70.5 for Canelo. The height advantage as well, although Charlo is peeling over a little bit. 5'11" to 5'8" in favor of Charlo.
He doesn't look that much bigger than Canelo either.
You're talking like size-wise, body-wise?
Yeah. Look how wide his back is. Look how Canelo.
Good overhand right lands for Canelo again, around the guard of Charlo when he was against the ropes. Charlo's got to land something here, man. He has zero respect. Zero respect.
He hurt him with that last one.
It looked like his knees buckled a little bit. Another right hook around the guard lands for Canelo. Just backing Charlo up. This is tough for Charlo. He's got to land something here to get Canelo off of him. Maybe start jabbing to throw off the timing, don't you think? Charlo's trying to throw a little bit when he's against the ropes. Threw a left hook to the body and then tried to tie up. Canelo pushed him off and the referee actually stopped him and told him not to push.
Yeah, you can tell that he has some malice behind his punches.
Good right hook to the body for Canelo.
Really wants to hurt this man. He really wants to break him down.
He does.
Charlo, he's got him in a front headlock now. He's showing Charlo little to no respect. Charlo has to let He has to let something go. A 1-2 right now. He has to let it go. He has no respect. And if he gets hit with that left hook, which is obviously going to happen in the later rounds,
Yep.
he's going to get hurt.
Canelo just tried throwing a left hook. Charlo ducked under wisely. And Canelo, for the second time this round, put him in a headlock. Good left hook to the body from Canelo.
Yeah.
These shots are powerful. Powerful. Overhand right lands. Good combination. Overhand right, left hook to the body for Canelo. If I'm Charlo, got to start throwing. He throws 3 punches. All 3 are blocked, but you got to throw off his timing here. Canelo looks way too comfortable.
He looks too comfortable, and he just looks so much bigger. He looks more confident in his style. Charlo's got to let something go. The only way he's going to get confidence is if he lets a punch go. He's got to gain the confidence by letting punches go.
Canelo's so composed. So composed. It's almost like he's so overconfident. He knows that he just is now up in our card, safe to say, 2 rounds to love, that he could just take his time. He could just easily take his time, let the last 10 seconds go, reset, refresh, rehydrate, and then go at him again and just pick his shots when he wants to. What I'm curious to see is when Canelo is coming in, throwing those hooks to the body and trying to land that devastating left hook to Charlo's head. How does Charlo? I could hear myself, bro. The question I have is this: we're good? How does Charlo counter that? Timing is everything. The shots that hurt the most are the ones you don't see.
You still hear yourself?
No, I don't. Fix it. How does Charlo counter it? With a guy
Charlo's
going over and over.
Charlo's got to catch and shoot. He's got to take a risk. And it all comes down with the moment you anticipate the punch is coming and you feel it, you got to let your counter shot go. And you got to know what you want to do and be confident in it. He's not comfortable. He doesn't feel confident. And it's very, very obvious. Now he's starting to let punches go with that jab. This is much better. This is the fight that they strategize for, but he's moving a little bit too much.
Yes.
He's showing Canelo that he's uncomfortable. And this is where it comes down to respect. If Canelo doesn't respect you, he's going to walk you down eventually.
And if one were to even play devil's advocate and say, okay, well, what if he didn't want to move as much? Should he go toe-to-toe? Should they go nose-to-nose? No. There's no other way to fight Canelo. You cannot fight him in a phone booth unless you're Dimitri Bivol. Unless you are the bigger guy against him, you just can't. And I'm not saying bigger as in taller. I'm saying bigger as in you make Canelo go up to your weight class where you have been dominant. That's what you have to do against Canelo. For Charlo, just nothing. He's tying up. He is throwing a little bit more than we saw in rounds 1 and 2. We're at 1:46 of round 3. But there's still just not much there. So much lateral movement, tons of bounce. I agree with you that the weight is probably going to crush him by round 8. Good right hand lands for Canelo on Charlo. About 1:30 left in round 3.
Yeah, I think there's a thing. Okay, so he should be power boxing with Canelo, and it looks very similar to the Ramos-Lubin fight in many ways, where either Charlo is throwing or he's blocking. If you're going to beat Canelo, especially like this, you have to power box him. You have to maintain your distance. You have to dictate the distance, and you got to make Canelo fight your fight. You have to stand in the pocket. You got to land your shots and step around. Make Canelo fall into your shots, turn into your shots. He's not doing that. He's backing up a lot, and it's very obvious when he's uncomfortable because he just runs. Now, what he's doing right now is not bad. This is much better.
Much better.
Pop your jab, get your combinations off, and then bounce from side to side. Use your lateral movement. Skate across the ropes. Don't ever get caught on the ropes like he just did right there. And that's the danger of fighting the Canelo Alvarez.
One thing that I did like, though, was the timing.
Last 15 seconds wasn't bad.
One thing, sorry to interrupt. One thing that I did like was the timely shot from Charlo. When Canelo was coming in, he threw a left hook to the body, and Charlo threw a left hook that connected on Canelo. Obviously didn't slow him down, but it was something that could be promising. That body shot hurt him. Charlo keeled over a little bit after that landed. Safe to say 3-love here?
3-love.
Yep. All right.
Canelo's up.
Comments. Mimi says, Charlo running event. A little bit. And Run Rafa Run says, the best in the world, Canelo fighting a bit scared? Am I reading that accurately? I am. Fighting scared. No, sir.
That's not the fight that I see.
Not at all.
You know, Rick, clearly, we haven't been seeing the fights right.
Peachy says, can't fight him in a phone booth unless you're dialing direct and calling collect. Hey.
That's a good one.
That's not bad. Mimi says Charlo's got nothing. He showed a little bit, but it's clear. The power is one-sided. There's been no shift. We enter round 4. There has been no shift. Charlo doesn't have much, especially with Canelo's jab. His jab is landing at a super high rate.
Yeah. And the jab is a power jab. The jab from Canelo is not a rangefinder. The jab from Canelo is a shotgun jab. When he throws his jab, you can see he bounces and springs off the back foot and launches all of his weight into his lead hand, which shoots your head looking straight up at the rafters. That is not a jab that you want to play with. And for the most part, he uses that jab as a decoy to set up for the left hook. So you don't know when he's throwing a jab or a left hook. Brilliant boxer, like he just threw that left hook to the body.
Right on cue. These body shots are getting to Charlo. After he started the round pretty well, there's 2 punches that are continually landing over and over again. Left hook to the body, right hook around Charlo's guard. Those 2 have had homes since we started this fight. Another left hook to the body.
A double left to the body.
Yep.
Sweeping right hook to the body. Left hand that traps him. Now, see that right there when he caught and shot that, he caught and shot his left hook. That's what Charlo needs to do. If he's going to shell up like that, he's got to return fire. Because Canelo's going to keep throwing. He's
going to keep throwing, and Charlo is still expelling so much energy.
Yeah.
Overhand right just landed for Canelo. That was the biggest one of the fight. Yeah. Another overhand right lands for Canelo. We're at 104 of round 4. One thing I like about Canelo. Yeah, go ahead.
He's starting to time the jab because he wants to take away the jab. He wants to take away the jab of Jermell Charlo, make him gun shy to throw it. So he's launching heavy right hands over it. And if he does not have a jab as a rangefinder, then he's just food sitting on the plate ready for Canelo.
One thing I like about Canelo is he puts him in another headlock. 30 seconds left in round 4. How composed he is when he's coming in. It's like, Peachy, appreciate you. It's like he understands his opponent too well. There were a few punches in this round that Charlo threw. There was a right hook that landed around the guard on Canelo. And Canelo just sort of like gave him a little look and then just came right back in with his guard up. What is Charlo's best punch? When are we going to see this best punch? Because we have not seen it yet. End of round 4.
I think his best punch that he's displayed is his jab. That's the best thing that he has that he's trying to keep Canelo off with. But I honestly think that his best punch is his left hook. And he's afraid to let it go because when you throw your left hook, you expose so much of yourself.
Yep. 4-0.
4-up. Canelo.
4-0. All right, let's see. Infamous says Charlo doesn't have enough to keep Canelo off of him. Simple. I agree with that.
Simple. That's it.
Yep.
And listen, he was never gonna have enough to keep Canelo off of him.
Uh-huh.
He was gonna need to outbox Canelo, and he was going to need to be able to confuse Canelo with movement. But when you've been in the ring with fighters like Floyd Mayweather Jr. and at the peak of his career, um, Irizlandi Lara, this
That was a
movement
tough fight.
this movement is not going to be the kind of movement that's going to confuse you, unfortunately.
And with the movement, I feel like we're already starting to see Charlo slow down. He's staying in
Hmm.
one place a little bit longer, and we haven't even finished 5. We're 20 seconds into round 5.
Yeah.
Left hook lands for Canelo. Big left hook. And like you said previously, power jab. That jab is thick.
It's a beautiful jab.
It's tough, man. That jab is tough. When does Charlo go for it?
I
When does
mean,
he
I
go
think
for
I
it?
think I think he's got to go. He's got to start doing that now. I think he realizes he's got to go for it. It's why he's
Yeah,
not moving as much. He's just still uncomfortable.
yeah. Super uncomfortable. I mean, he is moving like crazy. And Canelo is expelling half the energy. Good jab from Charlo. And he gets out of range. Minute 37 in round 5. It has been all Saul Canelo Alvarez. And when I say all, I mean all. This has been domination. We knew there were going to be troubles for Charlo. We knew that he was jumping up 2 weight classes.
Hmm.
And he is a damn good boxer. This is just a different beast. He's different.
Yeah, and listen, in the interest of fairness, he's fighting the undisputed 154-pound champion. So, I mean, he's supposed to do this to the guy.
Uh-huh.
You know what I mean? Like, I'm not taking away anything from Canelo, but he's fighting a guy that's 2 weight classes beneath him. He's supposed to make him look like this, and
Mm-hmm.
this is what he needed. To be honest, he needed a fight that was going to make him look outstanding. He's
Yep.
looking like the Canelo of old. He's looking like a monster, and I think that a
Point.
stoppage should be coming sometime soon.
It's probably going to come from those body shots. One of those is just going to put Charlo down. Good combination from Charlo.
Yeah, but after you've taken those body shots from Canelo, it's not much on those shots.
Yep.
Now, here's the interesting thing. That's what he needs to do more of. He needs to let that left hook go. He's got to let it go.
Double right hand lands for Canelo. 5 seconds left in round 5. Whoa. Huge overhand right just misses.
Yeah.
5 up.
When Charlo is in those situations, see, here's the thing. He started moving so much so early. It's hard for me to believe that he was moving because he was tired. He was moving because of the power. Now imagine when he starts moving because he's moving to the ropes because he's tired. Now, right there, he landed his best weapon, and Canelo walked right through it,
Right through
which
it.
was that big left hook. And that right there, I think that might be the end of the fight. That might be the beginning of the end of the fight mentally for Jermell. He just landed his best weapon flush on the temple of Canelo,
And it
and
did
Canelo,
nothing.
he walked right through it.
Yep.
That's intimidating to a man.
We are entering round 6. This has been the epitome of one-way traffic. Coming into this fight, we thought that Canelo was going to win. I believe we had similar predictions as well. Did you say late stoppage?
Yeah, I said stoppage round 8.
Yeah, I thought stoppage around 10. And even that is feeling a little uneasy for me. Because these body shots are taking a toll. The weight clearly has not helped Charlo in this fight. He's tying up a lot. trying to just slow down the bull in a china shop mentality that Canelo has. We're at 211 of round 6, and it really does feel like the end may be near, because Charlo is moving and moving and moving, and at some point he's not going to be able to. His legs are just going to give out.
Yeah, I mean, he may be able to, he may be able to skate through a couple of rounds. He looks like he's trying to pick up the activity. His coach clearly told him, listen, you've dropped all these rounds. You got to start to let your hands go. You got to believe in yourself. So let's see if he can do it. Let's see what he applies from that.
He is just backing up Mel. Backing him up, backing him up. Mel, in the Mendoza fight, when he hurt Mendoza, he was against the ropes. More comfortable, of course, at 54. But this, uneasy. And these hooks for Canelo that keep landing over the guard over and over. I don't even know what Derek James can tell him. You're getting outclassed.
Take a move.
You're getting outclassed. Getting beat to the punch. You're getting walked down. Huge left hook just misses for Charlo.
Because and that shows Canelo's boxing acumen, and it shows that they've been well read on Charlo and his strategy. When he goes low like that, he's gonna try and come up with that big left hook, and he missed it by a mile.
That's what Canelo does to opponents, Britt. What he does.
Now, what I would like to see is, I think this is the kind of fight where Canelo needed to practice cutting the ring off better. He clearly right now.
You think he's not?
I don't think he's cutting the ring off as good as he could. I think if he cut the ring off faster, sooner, like right now, he's just following. And they're towards the end of the round, and he knew that. But I think that if he can work on cutting the ring off a little bit better with his feet, I think he'll start to get guys out of there.
Let's see. Lil Makers on TikTok says, time to go. 6th round. Size up now. It's time to get him, Charlo. More of a fan perspective is what it sounds like. Look, we're waiting. We are twiddling our thumbs and patiently waiting to see some sort of offense from Mel. We just haven't seen it. Peter writes on YouTube, nobody in boxing history has gone up 2 weight classes and with 0 fights in between, fought the champ and won. Charlo was never going to be the first. So a doom and gloom perspective from Peter D on YouTube. Let's see, we got more. I plead a fifth. Says 5-0 Charlo. Needs to throw more combos and take more risks.
5-0 Charlo?
5-0 Charlo.
That's what he said, 5-0 Charlo?
Maybe he actually was one of the judges for the Erickson-Lubin fight.
I was about to say, maybe he saw the fight. He's seeing things differently than we are.
That has to be a typo.
Nah,
I would hope.
He's trolling.
Could be. And then Mimi also said this could end soon. It could. We're a round away from Mr. Bitt's prediction.
You see Charlo loading up now. I think that this round is Jermell's last stand. And I think that this round is the round where he could get hurt the worst.
Overhand right. Absolutely stuns Charlo, and he goes down to a knee.
As I say it. Let me tell you how I predicted that was going to happen.
Oh, boy. Let me tell you how 50 left in the round. Everybody's on their feet. Minute 50 left in the round. Jab lands for Canelo. Left hook lands for Canelo. Minute 40 left in the round. He has Charlo against the ropes. Charlo ties up. Referee immediately breaks them up. Minute 33 left in the 7th round. Good jab lands for Canelo. Right hook does not land. Charlo against the ropes, and he ties up Canelo. Buying time as the referee tries to break them up. Minute
Still
18
hurt.
left in the round. Left hook tries to land for Charlo. A left hook now does land for Charlo, but Canelo comes back with a right hook. Canelo is walking Charlo down. It looks like Charlo's legs are good, though, which is an encouraging sign. Minute 2 left in the 7th round. This has felt like it's taken hours. Soft right hand lands to the body.
He's brought himself back. He's brought himself back very well.
Right hook over the guard lands for Canelo. Has Charlo up against the ropes, and Charlo ties up once more. 43 seconds left in the 7th round. He's trying to set up that overhand right again.
Yeah, he is. He's waiting on him to
Canelo.
throw the jab, and he hasn't thrown it yet.
Mm-hmm.
He's brought himself back very well.
I agree with that. 25 seconds left in the round. Interesting sequence there. The referee had them stop as Charlo landed a left hook, and Canelo was completely unfazed and gave the ref a blank look like, really? Why are you breaking us? 5 seconds left in the 7th round, in which Jermell Charlo was down with a huge overhand right. Huge.
Yeah.
I mean, his recovery, I give him an A+, but a monstrous 10-8 round where he's lost every single one.
Well, that shows you that he's in great shape. But I knew that was about to happen because I can see that he was opening up more. And what he hasn't been doing is planting his feet long enough to open up and give Canelo an opportunity to land a big shot.
That overhand right went right between the guard.
Yeah, and it's just,
go ahead.
A shot like that makes you feel like you're underwater.
Well, 7-up with a 10-8 round. And this was the one where my esteemed colleague said that it would be curtains. So let's see.
Let's see
if that's it.
Canelo's coming out with some steam. He does not want to. He wants to press his advantage.
Right.
Coming out.
Jab.
Jermell is moving, trying not to be too stationary, flicking his jab.
Go for broke, Mel. Go for broke. Let me see some right hands. Good left hook lands for Charlo.
Yeah, and a jab to follow it.
Yep. I'm impressed that he's still moving.
Yeah, he's in excellent shape.
He is.
He's in excellent shape. And he knew he had to be in shape.
Uh-huh. I give him credit. Minute 58 left in round 8. Though he is getting backed up into the turnbuckle.
I think Canelo needs to go back to the body.
Good point. Haven't seen a lot of body shots in the last 2-3 rounds.
Yeah, he's got a little trigger happy going to the head. It's been an easy target, but I think he needs to go back to the body.
Good left hook lands for Charlo. Huge left hook tries landing for Canelo, and Charlo ties him up. Minute 25 left in round 8. There's a body shot.
Yep.
Good left hook to the body from Canelo.
Charlo immediately ties up, which shows you that it irritated him.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Common jabs from Charlo. See, this is the issue. He could land a little, and then Canelo just wants to get him back and multiply it by 3. That's what Abner said, something that I agree with. He just won't let his hands go. He won't. Because he knows what's coming.
Well, the first round where he tried to let his hands go, he got knocked down. And now he knows that he can't let his hands go again like that. That's how I knew he was about to get hurt. It was because he started to let his hands go for the first time. So we're either looking at a fight that ends like this, similarly, or at some point, Charlo's gonna have to try and let his hands go again.
We're waiting on it. Well, he's gonna get out of round 8. He looks discouraged. The look
Yeah.
on his face says it all as he goes back to the round. As he goes back to the corner, excuse me, as the round ends. Canelo, I believe, refused to sit down in between rounds. Super confident. Blues fever weighs in. Charlo thought he was elite and then fought an elite fighter. I actually disagree with that. Charlo is scared of being KO'd. Typical. You want to take that one?
You would be too. I mean, listen, like, people think that it's very easy to criticize these fighters until they've gotten in the ring. I've been in the ring. Listen, Jermell Charlo is an undisputed 154-pound champion fighting the undisputed 168-pound champion. That's all we're seeing tonight. I mean, skill for skill, Canelo's a much better fighter. That's what we detailed in the beginning. He also happens to be 2 weight classes above this man. And he's extremely motivated to hurt him. So it's not that he's not elite. It's just that he's not a 168 pounder. He's not a true 168 pound fighter.
Right. That's what I think it comes down to. The one thing real quick, the one thing that you said last round, which still rings true, at least we hope to see it in round 9, is Mel's conditioning. His legs have held up. He has proven me wrong. My prediction was it ends in 10. There's still potential for it. But his lateral movement, still good. And he's also throwing more to start round 9.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, he knew that in prior fights, Canelo tired in the later rounds. And he knew he had to be able to combat that. He had to be able to wake up and he had to be able to take advantage of Canelo potentially tiring in the late rounds.
Yep.
And so that's why you see his activity. You see him letting his hands go a little bit more. And I mean, he doesn't look 100% comfortable, but he looks like I'm going for it.
Yep.
He definitely looks like, hey, listen, I know what the situation is, and I know what I got to do if I want to save face here.
Right. This is already a higher output to start a round and way more activity to start a round than we have seen since the opening bell, really, from Charlo. He landed a few baby left hooks. That's cool. What I want to see is just one overhand right. I want to see one overhand right from Charlo. Oh, huge uppercut. Lands for Canelo. Huge.
And that's the first
Charlo
time he's landed that punch.
It's actually the second. There was one that landed, I want to say in round 4 or 5, when he had Charlo in the corner against the turnbuckle. He hasn't thrown it a lot. Not necessarily his signature, but he's been trying to land it a few times here and there. Doubled on TikTok says Charlo's got a chin for sure.
Yeah.
I second that. That's a really good point. 58 seconds left in 9.
Let me tell you, if I had a criticism of Canelo in this fight, it's that he still doesn't throw enough punches. He still doesn't throw enough punches. He walks forward. He loads up on one big punch. And I think that can still be his detriment against, he still walks you down and he lands one big punch. The debilitating nature of
for Charlo
punches is what saves him.
Say again?
The debilitating nature of his punches is what saves him. You know that he can crack, but he doesn't throw a lot of punches in combination. If he threw punches in combination, he would have had Jermell out of there maybe 2 or 3 rounds ago.
I agree. Is it safe to say this is the first round that Charlo's won in our books?
Yeah. I see Canelo plodding forward. I see Canelo possibly looks like he's starting to taper off and get a little tired. Luckily for Canelo, it's the 10th round.
Right. Tiring from Canelo is something that we're accustomed to. Eric Black says it's over, bro. technically, technically it is. Charlo could win every round and it wouldn't be enough.
It wouldn't.
Let's see. JP says size difference, 2 weight classes. Canelo probably walks around about 190. Probably does. Fair point.
What do we think Jermell walks around at?
This?
Nah,
You think heavier?
I think heavier. He weighed in at 168 pounds. He was chugging a Pedialyte after the weigh-in, which dictates to me that which tells me that he cut some significant amount of weight the night before. I don't think he's walking around at 168. I think that he's probably walking
175.
Yeah, probably that.
Could be. We're in round number 10. This is my prediction right here.
At this point,
yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to say at this point, for Canelo to get the stoppage, he'd have to punch with Jermell Charlo.
Oh, big uppercut lands for Canelo. Big uppercut on the inside. 2 minutes left in round 10. I liked how Charlo started this round, and then that uppercut landed, and now he's just a little gun shy.
For Charlo?
He came out aggressive, and now for the last 40 seconds, he hasn't thrown a single punch.
Yeah, he's trying to gather himself.
Something just changed.
See, this is where Canelo would need to step up the pace.
Yes.
And land a flurry of punches. And he doesn't have the stamina to do that. He has the stamina to apply the foot pressure, but he has to be in a perfect position to let his punches go at this stage in his career. And I think against the elite fighters at 168 pounds, I don't know if that's enough anymore.
Right. I heard Jim Lampley on a podcast say he thinks Canelo fights Benavidez, and he thinks Canelo beats Benavidez. If Canelo, and I love me some Jim Lampley, but I've said this before and I'll say it again. If Canelo fights Benavidez and he fights him like this, I don't think it ends well. I don't think it ends well at all. Benavidez is a freight train that could take the punishment at this stage, and his shots are tough. I actually think Canelo avoids it.
Yeah, I think he probably fights Jermall Charlo next.
Probably, because it's not like Maul's not going to be pissed, and you could sell it as the revenge tour for the Charlos.
Yeah. Now here's the thing. Yeah. Here's the next question, and I don't like when people do this, but it's the thing we gotta consider is after seeing this, does Terrence Crawford still want to fight Jermell Charlo? Does he still want to fight Canelo Alvarez?
Good question. Is there something we don't know? What don't we know about this guy?
Terrence Crawford?
Yeah. You asked me the question, so I'll answer it. I never thought that he wanted to fight Canelo at 68. He's been talking about it for years. Kudos. Sell it, bro. Sell your career. Sell yourself. And have your potential be as high as this guy. Have it be in the fucking Milky Way. All right? My problem is, I think what he could do is akin to Errol. He could time some of these wide shots that Canelo throws. I don't know if he has the power to hurt Canelo if they were to fight at a 54, which we have never seen Bud do, or even higher.
All right, let me say a thing, and I want to get back to this.
All right, we're in round 11, by the way.
Derek James just gave Jermell Charlo brilliant advice. I don't know if he has the energy to do this, but he said that man is tired now and you're stepping away from him. You need to step to him and you could land a 1-2 right down the pipe.
Mm.
I agree with that. I think that Canelo
To walk
is
Canelo down, you're saying?
not walk him down, but he similar to the last fight, the Lubin and Ramos fight.
Yep.
When you're fighting a fighter like Canelo, you notice that Canelo does a thing. Canelo, when he sees punches, he evades them, and he puts himself in a very
He stays
uncomfortable,
stationary.
non-traditional. Exactly. He
Yeah.
doesn't really move his he doesn't really move his head. He moves his feet, which is brilliant. But if you follow him out and your feet are positioned under you, you can continue to land punches as he's backing away from you. And I think that that's what he's trying to get Jermell to do, as opposed to backing up. See, right there, when he backed up, follow him out with a strong 1-2 and see what you can land.
Yeah, Canelo's still winning the round.
Oh, for sure. Definitely still winning the round.
Yep.
I don't know if you just noticed, Jermell tried to step to Canelo and quickly got backed up.
Mm-hmm.
He's trying to do it. He just tried to
Straight
do
right
it.
hand.
Yeah, straight down the pipe. He
Yep.
tried to do it, but he didn't really commit to it. You could tell he doesn't believe in it. So it's not going to work. If he doesn't believe in it, he can't sell out and just let the shot go. The 1-2 right down the pipe right then would have been perfect. It's not going to work.
Wait a minute. So answer your own question about Bud. Does Bud want it?
No, I don't think so. Not after this. I mean, Jermell Charlo is a naturally bigger man than Canelo, and he obviously has a different style. But I think that Terrence's style is more. He would have to land more punches and then move. And I don't think that Canelo's too strong
Yes.
for him to move laterally and step around Canelo the way that he would need to be effective doing what he wanted to do.
All right. Prepare yourself. I knew the comments would come in at some point. Weedy says mid as a fight. It's just that Canelo's that good. That's all that it is. Showtime want to charge 85. Better be Tank and Ryan than this, is what Weedy says. You know it's coming. It's just that Canelo's that good, guys. This is also an opponent that, as we predicted and why you watch this, we knew. We knew it would be too much. And it has been too much. It was a solid selection from the A side. Getting the money, no problem. Not something that we love to see. I've been entertained. We are in round 12 here. At this point for Charlo, you just finish. Sadly.
Yeah. Jermell needs to believe in what his coach just told him. And I think that he needs to sell out. He needs to land that 1-2. He needs to land that big hook. He's been trying to land the hook. It hasn't been working. He needs to pull something out.
Not gonna happen.
I think that
You
if he tried to hold his high guard and come and step to Canelo and catch and shoot, that at this point will probably be his best bet to land something, maybe not even hurt him, but to get some respect. He can't. He's done the same thing all night, and it's not been productive for him.
I harken back to what one commenter said a few rounds ago, which was respect to Charlo and his chin and his body, because he has taken a beating in this fight. He has taken a flat out beating, and he's still standing in round 12 against one
Yeah,
of the best that we've ever seen. I
yeah.
give him props for being somewhat of an inferior opponent, considering that he had to go up 2 weight classes to fight him.
He conditioned his body to go to war against a bigger man, and from the onset, I think that he felt the pressure. I think he felt the magnitude of the moment, and I think that the fight is ultimately what we all thought it was going to be, unless he can pull off a miraculous knockout in the last closing seconds of this fight.
Well, he's got 52 seconds to do it. He's letting his hands go a little bit here to end the fight. It's not much, not enough. Left hook lands and Canelo just stares at him. Oh, blistering body shot from Canelo.
Now, who knows? I mean, Charlo's still on his feet. If the same judges from the last fight are judging this fight, Jermell Charlo may have won.
20 seconds left. I give Mel credit. I give him credit. He's still standing. Still standing against a tough SOB in Saul Canelo Alvarez. All right, that's it. We hear the bell. They dap up. They hug each other.
Canelo tells him, "You're a great fighter. You're a great fighter."
Man. All right, so while we await the decision, a decision that we know, how would you grade Canelo Alvarez's performance against Jermell Charlo, Mr. Britt?
I mean, I got to give him a B minus.
Oof. B minus.
Yeah.
How come?
He just fought a man that was 2 weight classes beneath him. I mean, I think that he should have stopped him. I think that if he were, there's just obvious things that he could have and should have done, differently to secure a knockout, and he couldn't do it.
What'd you want to see different in order to get the knockout?
There were moments where he cut the ring off really well. There were moments where he did not cut the ring off so well. Consistently cutting the ring off, throwing more punches in combination. Those are my only 2 criticisms.
Mm-hmm. I actually disagree. I thought he cut the ring off well, and then he knew that he had it in the bag. Through the first 6, 7 rounds, I thought his ring generalship was really good. I thought he put the pressure on Charlo over and over and over again. At that point, he just knew. There was no reason to get in a firefight. Just continue walking him down. Take your body shots. Continue landing. In the opening rounds, I thought what set the tone was the right hook around Charlo's guard. Clearly hurt him. Clearly. Landed the overhand right that scored the knockdown in the middle rounds. Overall, cruise control is what I would say.
Yeah. I mean, he made it look easy. I think
He did.
if Canelo, so what my coach told me is, when you want to work on things, you got to work on things with fighters that are that you're better than. I think that this was the night you saw that he worked on cutting the ring off better.
Mm-hmm.
I think that I would have loved to see him throw more combinations. That's it.
Mm-hmm. All right, we have the scorecards here. Here we go. Unanimous decision, as Jimmy Lennon Jr. reads it. Steve Weisfeld, 119, 108. David Sutherland, Rex DeLuca, 118, 109.
So no knockdown?
Saul Canelo Alvarez wins by unanimous decision, and it is earned.
Yeah.
It is earned.
And Jermell Charlo earns a lot of respect. This is a fight that he learns from. I think that he can go back down to 160 pounds, and there's a lot for him to. He will learn so much from this fight. He didn't get embarrassed. He didn't get obliterated. He didn't
Right.
get knocked out cold. He didn't like lose anything in the ring. This was very similar to Floyd Mayweather and Canelo Alvarez, where he
Mm.
learned so much. He got outboxed, and I think he'll be better.
Canelo is in the ring being interviewed by the legendary Jim Gray. Canelo is thanking everybody, saying he loves everybody. Jim Gray says you were much stronger. Did you feel it immediately? Yes. I'm a strong fighter, Canelo says. I'm a strong man. This Canelo, nobody can beat this Canelo. Well, not if they jump up 2 weight classes.
Right.
You were told to go to the body. Why'd you focus on the body, Jim Gray asked. We know he's a great fighter. We worked on that in the gym for 3 months. Without my family, I was training, but I still love boxing. I love it so fucking much, he says. Boxing is my life. Boxing made me the man I am today. Boxing is my life. I love boxing that much. Thank you, everybody. So they're gonna show Canelo, I believe, the knockdown that occurred in round 7 with an overhand right. I was told to go to the body and then I changed it up, Canelo says. Were you disappointed that you didn't get the knockout? No, I feel great. That's why we fight 12 rounds. If I don't get the knockout, I want to show that I'm the best. I'm the better fighter. I went 12 rounds to show I'm better.
I think a Jermell Charlo coming off of a loss to Canelo Alvarez the way that he lost, I think he learns a lot more and is a better fighter than he was prior to. I think that the way that he lost, I think that he's going to be a better fighter. So
Right.
if he fights Errol, if he fights Terrence, I think that he's going to be. If he fights Mendoza, if he fights Zoo, I think he's going to be a tougher competitor than if he were prior to losing this fight. He's going to be.
I agree.
He's going to be a demon to deal with.
I agree with that. Let's go back to something you said before. If you're Bud, where do you go next? Where do you go?
If you're Bud,
Yeah.
I think you go where the money is. You absolutely go where the money is. And
The money is Canelo.
If you have an opportunity to fight, Canelo's probably not going to fight him. Think about it. He just beat a man who was 2 weight classes beneath him.
Handily.
I don't know how much, and I don't, maybe he gets credit for this. Do you think he gets credit for beating a man that's 3 weight classes beneath him? Do you think so?
Yeah. Yeah. Do I think Canelo beats a guy that's 3 weight classes beneath? Yeah. I do.
Okay. It's an interesting proposition, man. I think that what Errol should do, I think that what Bud should do is probably take the Errol rematch at 54 pounds. I think he's going to be stronger.
Wasn't there the rumor that Bud wasn't going to do it?
Yeah, he said he wasn't going to do it unless it was at a 147, which is basically saying, I don't want to give you the opportunity to fight me. But I think he should do it because he'll probably make another $20 million. He'll beat the man sooner. And he'll see what it's like to face a bigger man. Then he can fight Jermell at 154 pounds if he still thinks that he's that good. Or he could fight the winner of Mel and Zoo and Mendoza. And if he's still feeling big and bad after those, 2 or 3 fights, then I think the Canelo fight is still there. I think he takes it.
I would love to see it. I would love to see it. If it doesn't happen, who should Canelo fight next? Where does he go?
I'd love to see Canelo fight Benavidez now.
I just don't see it. I just don't. I think we've seen this story so many times in this sport where guys don't have to fight the best. How I see Canelo is protecting legacy. I don't see him taking chances like that anymore. This wasn't him taking a chance.
No, not at all.
The John Ryder thing, that wasn't him taking a chance. Fighting Gennady, which was so long overdue that there was disinterest, that was not him taking a chance. I don't see him fighting those guys. Stefan 4422 says David Morrell. I don't know, man. I don't see him going up against a guy that he could potentially lose to at this stage in his career. I just think he's gonna milk it and then go off into the sunset, go play some fucking golf every day or something.
I think he'll take the fight.
The Benavidez fight?
Yeah, I think he takes.
Why are you so confident?
This is a different Canelo. It's a different energy.
How so?
his energy is just different. His energy is very, I'm the best. I'm back. I've repaired what I needed to repair. Nobody beats this version of me. He seems very confident in the skill set that he brings to the table. Very confident in his cardio. I think that working out the kinks in the Ryder fight, I think that he probably feels a little bit more elite than he has in previous years. It feels like he's ready.
So I knew this was coming, and it's totally fine. Although it is half-hearted and clearly sarcastic, all day, every day says B-ball rematch. Curtains on that one, my friend. Curtains. Whether sarcastic or not, people are going to talk about it because they're going to say, oh, did you see how good Canelo looked? It was against a guy who is not in his division. Canelo would go up a division and fight the guy that he got trounced by. I don't see him ever going down that well again. And Dimitri's just really damn good. And outside of Dimitri, there's nobody that I'd like to see him fight at 175. Like, are you interested in Anthony Yard? No.
No.
Are you interested in Joshua Buatsi?
No. Not
exactly.
interested in him
None of them.
Anybody at 175 pounds, because they're weight classes for a reason. And I appreciate him going up to 175
of course.
Pursue greatness and try to be great. But ultimately, the same thing. At a certain point, weight matters. It just does. Yep. Weight matters. And when you're elite fighters, it matters even more. Because what you're banking on is skill for skill, except you're 10 pounds bigger than me.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yes.
Canelo's a great fighter at 168 pounds. You see, again, Canelo is great at 168 pounds doing what I detailed about Tim Tszyu.
Mm-hmm.
He has perfected his style of fight. He knows his physical makeup, his muscular makeup, his cardio proposition does not allow him to throw. Do you remember when Canelo was at 154 pounds, at 155 pounds?
Yeah.
And he was throwing with meaningful combination?
Yes.
Remember when he fought Riverside Rocky and he was like landing combinations? Remember when he fought Shane Mosley and he was landing crazy combinations?
Oh, blistering.
He knows that he's not that guy anymore. So he knows that he has to take as much damage as possible while walking his opponent down. And the two punches that he throws, which overhand right, left hook to the body, or left hook to the head, uppercut, whatever those two punches are going to be, they have to count. And they have to have the wrath of the fucking devil on them.
Mm-hmm.
He knows that. And that is the style that he's perfected.
You want to feel old?
I mean, not particularly, but...
He fought Shane Mosley 11 years ago. 11 years ago.
Yeah.
Fuck.
Yeah.
Time is passing us by.
And I remember when he fought him, I remember thinking to myself, man, this could be the one that he loses.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Just because I was just like, Shane Mosley's a great fighter, and we don't know if Canelo's a great fighter yet.
Right. And then we learned. All right.
We learned.
Closing thoughts before we sign off.
Great fight by Canelo.
Yep.
He looked like he was re-energized. He beat up a man that was 2 weight classes beneath him. He did what he was supposed to do for the most part. Would have loved to see a knockout, but hey, we got a knockdown.
Yep.
We got a seemingly re-energized Canelo who says that he doesn't care who he fights on Cinco de Mayo weekend. He says bring him on. So that leaves me optimistic that we're going to start to see the fights that we want to see. I don't want it to be Jermell Charlo. I think that Jermell Charlo probably gets beat worse than Jermell. Just because, styles, not anything to do with his current life situation, just styles. He's less of a boxer, more of a flat-footed fighter, and I think that he would just take far too much punishment. Terrence Crawford fight interests me a little less after seeing a naturally bigger man, naturally taller man try to do it. Interests me a little bit less.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but then again, the more I think about it, Terrence is a different kind of animal. So I gotta think about this one.
He is.
Um,
The only thing is his counter shots. They just gotta have some effect. We
yeah.
saw it against Errol when Errol was coming in. He got punished for it. Do I think Canelo would? No, but I also didn't think that Errol would get punished for it. So I would say those counters, when he's in his southpaw stance, they gotta land, or he's gonna get pummeled. Would his body hold up being the smaller man? Don't know. I lean towards not. Just my prediction.
Yeah.
Canelo Alvarez at 33 years old has put together a Hall of Fame career. He has fought some of the best. We went division by division in case you missed it. The right fight is Benavidez. I truly believe in my heart of hearts he doesn't want it. I just do. I think he continues to milk it. He is arguably the biggest star in boxing, if not Terrence Bud Crawford. That's why that fight is so intriguing. And I think he stays away from an in-prime dude like Benavidez, milks the next 3 or 4 fights, and then potentially calls it a wrap. He could easily fight once a year, make tons of money, and bow out at 37, and we would still say he had a tremendous career.
I disagree with almost everything you said in that last
Okay, hit me.
sequence. And I have a tremendous amount of respect for you and your boxing knowledge. One, I don't think Terrence Crawford has ever capped so hard. I don't think he's ever capped. I think anything he's ever said he wanted to do in boxing, any person he ever said he wanted to fight, I think he genuinely has wanted to fight those people. I don't think he's ever promoted. I don't think he's ever said, I want to fight this person just so his name gets bigger. I don't think he's ever once done that. I think that he genuinely wanted, when he was saying it, I think he genuinely wanted to see what the fuss was all about with Canelo. We're the same height. He's thicker than me, but skills pay the bills. I think that he 100% wanted to fight
Would you
Canelo.
pick Bud in that fight?
It's hard because Terrence would be looking to stick and move. He would be looking to punch in combination, and he would be looking to sharp counterpunch Canelo. Canelo will be looking to do a very similar thing as tonight, walk that man down, land 2 or 3 two punch combinations at most, and hurt him and break him down round over round and land punches that are going to put a hole in them. And you can see both men doing a little bit of what they want to do if they fall, right? I just think that we've seen Bud go down off of an overhand right by Mean Machine.
Yep.
We've never seen Canelo hurt. We've never seen Canelo busted up. We have seen him outboxed at 152 pounds.
Yep.
So, if I had to make a prediction today, based on the Canelo that had the stamina that he did and packed the punch that he did today, I would have to say that Canelo will probably beat him.
I agree.
I would have to say that Canelo will probably beat him just because he's just too strong, and I don't know, even as sharp as he is, if Terrence would be able to hurt Canelo enough to get the respect that he needed to get to keep that man off of him all night.
Yep.
I wanna say a thing about Canelo, and then I want to say a thing about Charlo. I'll make them very quick.
All right.
I think that Canelo will fight David Benavidez now. I think that
I hope so.
I don't. Canelo has also very similarly. I don't think he's ever promoted. I don't think he's ever capped. I think that he fights guys when he's ready to fight them. Everyone hypothesized that he was afraid of Gennady Golovkin at one point, and he got in the ring with that man probably 2 years after we all thought that he should have. And it created one of the, best boxing rivalries in their first two fights that we've seen. Sorry, I'm in New York. It's a little bit later.
Good.
That we've seen in modern day boxing. I don't think he's afraid of David Benavidez. I think that he's probably known that he's had some lingering issues. He's known that he hasn't been his best, and he's been wanting to be his best. I think that after what he just did tonight, I think that is a think about it. He fought a subpar opponent before he fought Gennady the first time. He fought Julio Cesar Chavez Jr.
Destroyed.
He destroyed him.
Destroyed.
But you wouldn't look at Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. and say, oh, that prepares you for Gennady Golovkin. Right?
Right. Nobody would.
I think that when you're a boxer, you're not intimidated by name or style. You just say, what do I got to do to beat that style?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that very similar to at that place in his life, I think that he needed to know, do I got the power to knock a guy out? I knocked out Khan. Do I got the power to walk down a bigger man? He walked down Julio Cesar Chavez. Okay, my power's intact. I can still walk a man down. I'm ready to go fight Gennady Golovkin. I think that's all it is. These guys aren't afraid. These guys aren't scared. They just want to be at their best when they're fighting. It's like game recognized game. And
Right.
now that he's at what he probably feels is the peak of his powers, I think that he'll make that fight, and I think he'll make some adjustments. And then to that, we've never seen David Benavidez cracked by anybody. We've never seen him take a big punch.
Yep.
David Benavidez has never been pushed back.
Right.
We don't know what it looks like for David Benavidez to get cracked, get hurt to the ribs, take a big overhand right, take a big left hook, and have to take a few steps back and have somebody walking him down. Mm-hmm. We don't know. We really don't know who he turns into.
Mm-hmm.
We know who Canelo is when he has to box. We've seen Canelo never be hurt before. So I think that Canelo takes that fight. And the last thing I want to say is, and I think that this is appropriate.
Okay.
Shout out to Jermell Charlo for striving to be great, doing the thing that people in boxing aren't doing this.
Yep.
He's the undisputed champion in his weight class, got bored and said, what's the biggest challenge that I can go out there and find? Gennady Golovkin is gone away. He's basically retired. Mm-hmm. So there's no one logically for him to step up and call out at 160 pounds. The biggest named fighter in boxing called him out. Well, essentially, he got offered to fight this guy. And he didn't cower. He didn't run. He didn't make any excuses. He's been calling the man out for years when they were at 154 pounds together. He said, I'm going to meet him at 168, and I'm going to see if I'm great. And I just think that he needs to be respected for that, and he doesn't need to be ridiculed for it. He did not embarrass himself tonight. He just fought somebody who was much bigger than him and a better boxer. Mm-hmm. And sometimes that happens. He didn't get knocked out. Took a big shot, and he could have stayed down on that knee.
True. It crossed my mind.
Boots. Mm-hmm. He got shook to his boots. We saw Ryan Garcia take a big shot and stay down. There's no knock on Ryan Garcia, because a man has to know his own limitations. This is a dangerous sport.
True.
This man got hit on the temple, and you can tell he got shook to his boots. And instead of staying down on the knee and taking the 10 count, he got up, he came out, and still was throwing heavy shots and trying to use his tools. And that's all this is. This is just they're just not shooting hoops. They're just not catching footballs. They're not catching baseballs. They're testing their skills in a much more dangerous kind of game. And so I got a huge amount of respect for Jermell. I look at this very similarly as the outboxing session that Canelo was dished out by Floyd Mayweather. I think that Jermell's going to learn a lot more from this. I think he's going to be a better man and a better boxer for it.
Well put.
Shout out to him.
Shout out to him. Didn't cower. Did not stay on his knee. Solid point by you. At first, and our rule is usually when big fights like this happen, we try not to be prisoners of the moment. And what we like to do is go and get asleep, wake up,
fresh mind, watch it the next day, see if we overreacted on anything. Many will say that Canelo's stock could be higher. What I notice is the trend of his opponents that he has had now. He is a heavy favorite for good reason. We haven't seen him pushed, it feels like, in a while. He's been in uncomfortable situations. The John Ryder fight, to reiterate, maybe it's somewhat of like the feel of fighting in front of your hometown. We saw it with Regis Prograis as well. Maybe there's something there, but he should have done better against John Ryder. Fighting, in my view, a game Jermell Charlo, but also somewhat of an inferior opponent because of the weight. Let's just call a spade a spade. It was an easier fight for Canelo Alvarez to take. At this point, there are only 2 fights that remain. I agree with you at 60 that there's really nobody. Gennady is practically retired, and plus, we've seen that show over and over again. It's Bud and it's David. I still think that he doesn't fight David. I think he might see something more in Bud. But we wait and see. For Mel, he said that he would take the winner of Bud Errol, which I do find to be very intriguing, or the winner of Tim Tszyu, Brian Mendoza. Mendoza, in case you've been living under a rock, scored one of the cleanest shots in a fight that he was losing against an opponent that nobody really wanted to face in Sebastian Fundora. Has our respect. Tim Tszyu has elevated himself over the years and developed himself into a damn good fighter. Where it takes place, not sure. I would like to see him against Tim Tszyu because Tszyu has called out the Charlos for years now, and I feel like we are at that point that we deserve it. But to get back to Canelo, I think you gave him a B-.
Mm-hmm.
At first I thought it was harsh, but now that I process it, that's probably fair. It's probably fair. He went after Charlo, didn't finish him. Probably won, if you're being lenient, 10 rounds. A damn near shutout. But the one thing that we wanted to see was the exclamation point, and instead it was just a run-on sentence. So Canelo looks good as always. I concur that Mel will learn from it. And we'll wait and see what they have in store for us. Both men certainly got better, and on top of it all, they both got paid. Shout out to Kirk Sanderson, by the way, who said, "Great show." We appreciate you sincerely. Everybody watching on YouTube, we appreciate you guys as well. And as always, we know it's late, but we appreciate everybody sticking around, and hopefully you had as good of a time as we did. Britt, appreciate you as always, man.
My guy. We should do it more often.
We should.